Okay.
Blah blah Survivor Series. Blah blah who's gonna survive. Blah blah supplemental. Blah blah win. How you doing?
I
Your subtlety knows no bounds, Oni.
My throat is hoarse. It's off.
If I could, I'd give you a Ricola.
Uh, Folks, this is a supplemental panel for the Roll Down Rebound Survivor Series preview panel. Win was not able to make it in time for the first one, so this one is just specifically for her because we don't want her to be left out of the fun and what have you. And it was Win who I actually threw out the invitation for when we did the SummerSlam post show back in the summer, and she was, remember reading the comment section, she was just surprised, like, wait, you're giving me an invitation? It's like, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, definitely for next week, though. I'll definitely tell him that I have a prior engagement
Okie dokie.
at work this time.
yeah. Oh, and plus, we had a full house earlier, so you might not have got word in edgewise anyway.
Especially with A-Log there. To be fair to him, he actually behaved himself this week.
Let's go with that. Let's be a little, and let's get this over with. Pre-show. That's already started. Fuck. What card I can't.
Well, the Cruiserweight title's part of the pre-show as well, so we can skip that one.
And it just happened, so.
Yeah.
So skip the entire pre-show, get to the main card.
Raw's The Shield versus SmackDown's The New Day. Not content with their tag team titles being lost to Sheamus and Cesaro via distraction, that's a botch on my behalf. Via the distraction of the New Day, the Shield have taken it upon themselves to get some retribution, which began on SmackDown 5 days ago as the Shield and the Raw roster invaded SmackDown. On paper, I would say the Shield, since they have more of an aggressive streak. That's not to say the New Day are not capable of being combative. But if I had to bet money, I'm going to go with the Shield. Believe that. Oni.
You don't need to know my predictions. I've already done them. This is wins.
Yeah. From the little I've seen, since I'm kind of returning to wrestling, for those who don't know, after a 4-year hiatus, from the little I've been able to research and see, thanks to getting WWE Network a little while back, I'd probably have to agree with the Shield, even though I really wish it wasn't. But that's probably because of my bias and because they were at one point affiliated with Roman Reigns, and he's so boring.
Amen. Alrighty. The first of champion versus champion matches. Raw's women's champion, Little Trish, Alexa Bliss, versus SmackDown's women's champion, Charlotte. Both are the very best of their respective brands and already seasoned veterans at their respective young ages. Charlotte, I can see winning this as she has much more experience in these big match type situations, since it was her that ended Nikki Bella's record-breaking reign as Divas Champion in 2015, which Oni was doing cartwheels over back then, which we're also eternally grateful for. That's not to count Alexa out for what she lacks in experience she makes up for in cunning opportunity whenever she sees an opening. Charlotte to win, but Alexa's going to make her work for it. Win?
I have to agree. From the little matches I've seen on and off back when I was staying with family who did have cable, because I had seen a couple of matches before with Alexa Bliss, and she's got some serious moxie going on.
And little known fact, one of her wrestling inspirations for going to be a professional wrestler was actually Trish Stratus. The other one was Rey Mysterio.
I wouldn't blame her. Stratus, while she did start out as more of a manager archetype, kind of showed her chops in the ring for quite a while. And her finisher, Stratisfaction, was no joke.
And it was actually JR that coined one of her, not really a wrestling move per se, it's more like a party trish where she does her version of the Matrix. He just dubbed the Matrix.
I think I remember that.
So what are you going for?
The next of champion versus champion, Raw's Intercontinental Champion, The Miz, versus SmackDown's US Champion Baron Corbin. Corbin needs this victory more than The Miz. Despite what I think about the former WWE Champion, he's the one who is more over in this matchup and is the more relevant champion. Whereas the US Championship hasn't been relevant since Cena held it in 2015.
Yo, dude, give me the link.
What link?
The invite link. He's joining, but it's not working.
Okay. Okay.
Then we're gonna have one more person. It's he works with me on River City Gamers.
Is this SCR?
No.
Okay. Well, there's the link for you. I lost my train of thought now.
Sorry, folks.
We were talking about the mid card.
Right. As to how legitimate the social media beef has been, or if it's just a means of hyping up the match, remains to be seen, but it's working from the perspective of building tension. I hate to say it, but I'm going with The Miz. If Corbin gets put over, then that's weirder booking from Wacky Mackey's Crazy House of Fun.
Yeah, once more, I am more likely to agree. I know Baron Corbin does kind of need it from the little matches I've been watching on and off that I could. But at the same time, I have a feeling it's going to somehow fall into the Miz's favor. But at the same time, it kind of disheartens me because I've never really been a fan of the Miz. Don't hurt me!
It's okay, Odie hates him as well.
He's just so annoying! I'm sorry, you're not awesome!
This is why we get along so well. Okay. Moving on to the next match. Champions versus champions. Raw's tag team champions Sheamus and Cesaro versus the SmackDown tag team champions in the Usos. Given how equally effective both teams are, what makes calling this one a little more difficult? I don't think anyone expected Sheamus and Cesaro, also known as The Bar, to work in the beginning, given that they had the traits of an odd couple. The Usos are the more angsty of the teams, whereas Raw's tag team champions seem to be trying to channel their inner Edge and Christian for the arrogant thinking that they are the standard bearers for tag team champions.
Totally reeking of awesomeness.
Which makes me question, when did they change their name to the Hardy Boys, the New Age Outlaws, Edge and Christian, or the Dudley Boys? Jokes aside, this will be entertaining to watch from the Raw side, given the charismatic antics, but I think this will be another close call as the Usos have lengthy experience as champions and know how to be a cohesive unit. I'm going to say Usos. I don't know why, but I can see an upset here.
I kind of want to say The Bar, but that's probably because of my personal bias. I've always been a big fan of the fun underdog archetypes, and as you know, when I started getting back into wrestling, it was from watching the Cesaro matches, and I've kind of become a bit of a Cesaro fangirl.
Nothing wrong with that.
Plus Sheamus, well, he can come off as an odd duck. He's pretty entertaining to watch at times too.
He just needs to turn face.
Yeah. The guy would make a perfect face. Heel?
No. Alrighty.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes,
All right,
we do.
cool.
Alright, this is Shadow Snake from River City Gamers. He
How you
just
doing,
got
dude?
back, just like you, Wendy. He got back into wrestling.
Yeah. Hi, nice to meet you. Nice to meet everybody. I just got off of work, and I'm looking forward to this pay-per-view being inferior to NXT War Games. How y'all doing?
I'm doing fine, though I did have one quick question for the WWE Network users. What time does the match come on so I don't miss anything?
Well, you already missed the pre-show, so don't fucking worry about that. Oh, you got it comes on in about 20 minutes.
Yeah,
In 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's just hope my PS4's internet doesn't decide to be all wonky again.
But I hate to do this, but we need to go back to the beginning for Shadow Snake. This is like, I can't think of it. My throat's still a little.
This is
Hey, he's doing tests. He's doing test this too, because me and him were talking last night.
Oh God.
Well, when you do finally get a chance to rest your voice, Oni, if you have any, a cup of herbal tea with honey and lemon is utter wonder.
I've already gargled salt water. I mean, salt water. Like, put some salt in some hot water, and old remedy my mom used to do.
Oh, one thing about NXT is I actually, since I live in San Antonio, Texas, I went to an NXT house show, and it was fucking awesome. Like, it was basically the day before War Games. So basically, I saw 2 days of NXT awesome wrestling.
Okay, MJ, give him the predict things. Do the short versions, like with I can't think. Brain.
Raw Shield versus New Day. Not content with losing the tag titles to Sheamus and Cesaro, they went over to SmackDown to start a means of retribution.
Mm-hmm.
On paper, I would say the Shield, since they have more of an aggressive streak. That's not to say New Day are not capable of being competitive, but if I had to bet money, I'd say the Shield.
Yeah, I think the Shield would win.
Alrighty.
Short, sweet, to the point.
Yep. Raw Women's Champion versus Women's Champion Alexa Bliss versus SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte.
Charlotte should win since she just won the championship.
Okay. Raw's Intercontinental Champion versus SmackDown's US Champion Baron Corbin.
Oh, I almost forgot, dude. You do have a mulligan if you don't want to predict one of the matches.
All right, that's fine. This one's a little bit of a tricky one. Biz is a veteran, but I'm all for pushing new talent. So, man, if Baron Corbin didn't suffer what he had to suffer in SummerSlam because of, John Cena, I'd be all for Baron Corbin winning. But this match, I kind of care more about The Miz than Baron Corbin because I think The Miz is a fantastic heel and he knows how to get people to hate him and everything. So I don't know. This is a tricky one to predict. Something tells me that Baron Corbin might win, but I would not be surprised if the Miz wins.
Okay then. Raw's Tag Team Champions in Sheamus and Cesaro, also known as The Bar, versus SmackDown's Tag Team Champions in the Usos.
I prefer the Usos to win, but this one's kind of This is going to be a 50-50 for me. So I will probably. I'm just going to say the Usos.
Okay.
I think we're caught up.
Yep.
Okay. William will go first, and you'll go next, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Champion versus champion. Raw's Universal Champion in Brock Lesnar versus the WWE Champion from SmackDown, AJ Styles.
Unfortunately,
before when this was slated as Brock Lesnar versus Jinder Mahal, it would have been laughable beyond measure, as Mahal has no business being WWE Champion.
I wholeheartedly agree with that.
He has neither the ring prowess nor necessary maturity to be a world champion, and also, and even Oni pointed this out, we know when someone's been doing the juice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, but no one gets that big that quick. Now, against the Phenomenal One, it's still touch and go as to how this will go, as Brock is most likely the most intimidating physical opponent Styles will ever face. But that's not to say that the WWE Champion will be a pushover, considering he has been able to hold his own with the likes of Chris Jericho, John Cena, and most recently, Finn Balor. I foresee this going one of two ways.
You ever saw this?
Styles will try to get Lesnar off his game plan quick and use his speed to his advantage and get a hard-fought victory. Or Brock will do rinse and repeat and take AJ to Suplex City, at which point I'll go to the fridge and grab another can of Pepsi Ginger, as I already know how this movie ends. But if I have to pick one for the sake of predictions, Styles, I love you, but I gotta go with Brock. Win?
I want AJ Styles to win because I've seen that little match from the snippet where he beat Jinder Mahal, and I feel that he has a lot of promise. But knowing Wacky Mackey, the odds are stacked up highly in favor of Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, sad, but true.
But if Styles does win, I'll be pleasantly surprised and happy.
All right.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm not used to group chats.
It's fine, it's fine.
Okay, so I had to agree with all of you that there's more of a chance of Brock Lesnar winning than AJ Styles, which I honestly think, like, okay, look, Brock Lesnar's a part-timer. Yeah. Taking a loss to AJ Styles isn't going to hurt Brock Lesnar that much.
No.
In fact, if anything, since AJ Styles is the full-time wrestler, I think what would be best for business is to have AJ Styles win. Since he recently won the title, it's kind of like my second argument with Charlotte winning. Because when you crown a new champion, what do you do?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you got to give him momentum after winning the champion.
Plus, there's also the possibility of Carmella cashing in on tonight, but on whom? Because they haven't stated specifically in the rules if she can cash in on Charlotte or Alexa Bliss. So that could be a bit of an upset as well.
So here's what we're going to do on that one, and we're trying to do this real quick because Survivor Series is about to come on. Let's say for the sake of things, Carmella does cash in tonight.
Okay.
Who?
Honestly, I can't say it's anyone's game at that point.
She's a heel, so it would make more sense for her to cash in on a babyface.
So you're saying Charlotte?
That would be the most logical conclusion.
I'm saying Alexa, because I've been hearing this rumor that she might be going to Raw.
Okay.
That'll be different. I'd have to.
I mean, Natty's no longer champion. I don't care who she cashes in on anymore.
I'm going to say Charlotte because it's more of a heel thing to cash in on a baby face because it's very rare when a heel cashes in on a heel.
Despite the fact we're getting a heel versus heel championship match on Survivor Series.
True. I'm gonna have to say Charlotte. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, that's what I would think too.
Alrighty, on to the first of 2 traditional Survivor Series matches. Team Raw of Alicia Fox, Nia Jax, Asuka, one of Oni's favorite wrestlers, Sasha Banks and Bayley versus SmackDown of Becky Lynch, Carmella, Naomi, Tamina, and what is presumably going to be Natalya, because originally it was Charlotte, but obviously that's all changed now. Based on the members of the Raw women versus the SmackDown Amazons, I think Raw have this in the bag. While the likes of Naomi, Tamina, and Becky are great competitors, their counterparts on Raw from the likes of Asuka, Bayley, and Sasha Banks are simply better athletes. I foresee Asuka being the sole survivor and just taking some satisfaction in making most of her opponents tap out. Just ask Emma. She found that out on more than one occasion recently.
She got released after a match after losing to Asuka twice.
Shadow Snake, your prediction.
Raw.
Alrighty.
Because Asuka, I mean, As a Unity Train puts it, SmackDown is fucked.
Yeah.
When? You're next.
I had my optimisms for the SmackDown roster, but then again, I kind of did some research recently on the likes of Sasha Banks and Asuka. The Raw side definitely has the favor stacked a little higher, which kind of makes me a little sad inside because I've grown quite fond of Becky Lynch, her moxie, her little steampunk vibe, and the fact that she's Irish. But in this case, I would have to give it to Raw, and Asuka definitely has a lot of promise on winning this match. And Navi, please stop climbing up my leg.
Just so you know, folks, Navi is Wynn's little kitten.
Yep, little orange tabby, very almost as opinionated as me.
And what is most likely the main event, the traditional Survivor Series match with Raw's Kurt Angle, Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, and Triple H versus SmackDown's Shane McMahon, Orton, Bobby Roode, Shinsuke Nakamura, and John Cena, with the recently added stipulation that if Team Raw loses, Kurt Angle is fired as Raw GM. So
yeah.
Shit.
Raw has to win. This is essentially speed and agility versus a mixed bag of power, technical wrestling, and a power struggle. Everyone knows of the history between Triple H and Kurt Angle. Go back some 17 years ago, Angle and Triple H were fighting over Stephanie, which culminated in a match at Unforgiven 2000, which had Mick Foley as the guest referee, of which he was the WWF commissioner at that time. And coupled with the fact that Kurt is the GM and Triple H is the chief operating officer of the WWE, you know they are going to butt heads in this match, which will play right into Shane's hands. For what is that old saying? An enemy of my enemy is my friend. Having Cena included at the very last minute just feels like it comes out of left field, and just as a means of the WWE trying to get more subscribers to the network and more pay-per-view buy rates, as was he really needed? After the ceremonious goodbye he gave after losing to Roman Reigns at No Mercy, suggested he was going to disappear for a while. According to Cena, a while only seems to amount to a couple of months. I think Stephanie shot herself in the foot by making the changes to this match by not only putting Kurt on the team as its member and captain, but also getting Triple H to take Jason Jordan's place when the man hasn't been in the ring since he lost to Seth Rollins at WrestleMania earlier this year. It would be one thing if he had been in the ring somewhat more regularly in 2011 when he was locked in feuds with CM Punk, The Miz, R-Truth, and Johnny Ace to some varying degree, which I'm glad that guy is no longer running Raw. As for SmackDown, while there are veterans in Cena, Orton, and Shano, they also have youthful competitors in Nakamura and Roode, who will learn extremely well from their experienced team members, and that is where I think the balance will shift. On paper, I would say Raw to win without the power struggle, but in practice, SmackDown's got this. Win.
I have to agree. While there are some old school in the roster for Raw, there's the same thing with SmackDown, and a lot of the new talent in SmackDown, holy crap. Especially Shinsuke Nakamura. The only thing I gotta say, though, is if SmackDown does win it, anybody but Randy Blandy, please!
Oh, rumor has it, and treat this with pure speculation until you hear something a little bit more concrete. The rumor is he's supposed to turn heel in this match and defect to Raw.
I am the tallest of mountains, I am the roughest of ways, I am the darkest hours, I am the darkest of line.
No, seriously, anybody but Randy Blandy. But if I had to look through, even though Cena is one of the more favored in the WWE by old Wacky Mackey, I wouldn't mind seeing Shinsuke being the one to be the last man standing.
That would do wonders for him, and they need to put gold on him soon because he's one of those guys. He needs it.
He definitely deserves a push.
So yeah.
Too bad his momentum got damaged with Jinder Mahal.
Yeah, we try not to talk about him.
Well, not in the capacity we need to.
As I said, the man had no business being champion, and also back knee.
Anyway, Shadow, you're up.
Oh boy, this is going to be a tough one to predict. So I expect some power struggle between Triple H and Kurt Angle. Some people said that SmackDown might win this match, which it wouldn't surprise me if that's the case. But unfortunately, on the SmackDown side of things, it would not surprise me if the NXT stars on the SmackDown side get eliminated first, which I would hate to see that. And basically have the veterans, be the last one standing. Because knowing that Vince McMahon loves to keep pushing the veterans, I feel that the veterans are going to be the last one standing on this match. So, and given the fact that I'm seeing rumors or hearing rumors of Triple H and Kurt Angle feuding up until like WrestleMania of next year, I guess as a stepping stone, since or I guess just what's the correct term to add? Just to add, like I guess another milestone in this this potential feud. How Triple H basically pedigreed Jason Jordan. So I take it that maybe Raw might get screwed. Like Kurt Angle might just might just like fight with Triple H physically, and then they would lose, and then Kurt Angle would be feuding with Triple H in the next coming episodes of Raw. So SmackDown, I think, will probably win. Only just to balance out the Raw and SmackDown lane, and because they want to, I guess, have the Raw women's team to win. So yes, SmackDown for the men's side and Raw for the women's side.
Yeah. Because Stephanie wants total annihilation for Raw, but
not gonna happen.
I mean, she's not. Like I said, she's not done herself favors by not only naming Kurt as the team captain and as a team member, but she's also put Triple H on there. It's like, Triple H is not going to take orders from Kurt. I mean, he didn't 17 years ago. Why would he start now?
Yeah, I don't see that ending well.
No, and also, as you've also said, it's sending a very poor message of they're catering more to the part-timers and not to the full-timers that are actually there. And
I keep trying to advocate to take the belt off of Brock Lesnar, but Vince McMahon refuses to listen.
Yeah, and also Oni highlighted this when he dropped in for a segment on Sunday Night Live a couple of weeks ago. Even the production staff are complaining about Vince McMahon's decisions now.
Maybe they'll just quit, and that way Vince McMahon's company will fail. And it's like, maybe Vince McMahon will be forced to retire. It's like, this is this frustrating part I see. It's like, why am I getting the best form of quality wrestling in NXT and not on the main roster?
Because Triple H knows what he's doing.
It shouldn't be that way. It should be the other way around. Like, granted, both had to be. Should be good, but I should not be getting mediocre matches in the main roster.
Well, it doesn't help that one of their producers, in Kevin Dunn, doesn't actually like professional wrestling, yet he works for a professional wrestling company.
Oh, so you don't want good wrestling in your wrestling show?
Well, there's something wrong when Dunn was preferred over someone like Jim Cornette. I mean, Jim Cornette can go to some interesting places verbally and mentally, but the guy knows what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And only would know he's one of the biggest advocates for Jim Cornette there is, except for whenever Jim Cornette gets himself banned from Canada.
Oh.
Very quiet over there, Oni.
Trying to save my voice.
All right.
Yeah.
I think we'll wrap it up there.
Yep.
This is only intended as a supplemental means just to allow Win to get her 2 cents in. And like I say, the post show will be interesting next week.
Mm-hmm. Either in a good way or in a bad way.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, I think we're done here. Until next week, I have been the Oni.
I have been the Knight.
I am Shadow Snake.
And I am the overopinionated rogue. And you've also heard my feline familiar, Navi.
Until next time, folks, catch you on the rebound.
Peace.
See ya.
Later.